Now, a Republican candidate in Missouri was recently asked what he believed about women's rights, whether or not he supported it. His answer, fairly interesting. So he said on a public Facebook post, he printed his response, scanned it, and all that stuff, and said that, look, but I believe in women's rights. I believe in all that stuff, but I have this deal with my girlfriend where I want to come home to a home cooked dinner every night at 6 o'clock, one that she fixes, and one that I expect one day to have daughters learn to fix after they become traditional homemakers and family wives. Think Norman Rockwell here, and Gloria Steinem be damned. So now that's the first part. It gets far more interesting. But first, hey, look, if you want your girlfriend to make dinner and she actually wants to make dinner for you, well, that's different, right? Then you're coming to a mutual agreement. And she says, of course, yeah, that's what I like doing. I want to have that done. You work hard, I work hard, and I'm going to take care of you when you come home. That's a perfectly fine arrangement if that's what you want to do in your personal life. Let me give you an example. Look, I used to work third shifts, right? And my wife would have coffee waiting for me in the morning when I come home. That was lovely. I appreciated it a lot. She didn't have to do it, but great, wonderful. I never demanded that, and that's the difference here, right? I don't expect that. I don't demand that. This person, a little bit different, right? So that said, here's where he gets into even more crazy town. He says, I don't buy into radical feminism's craves definition of modern womanhood, and I never did. They made it up to suit their own nasty, snake-filled heads. Okay, wow, okay, way to go off the rails, right? For one, what do you mean, feminism's crazed definition of modern womanhood? What definition? What are you referring to? There's a lot of different definitions. So, okay, look, I want women to make decisions about their own career, right? Make their own decisions. If you want to stay home, fine. If you're able to stay home, fine. Okay. Now, look, if you want to go out and work, awesome, right? And I believe that you should get paid the same as a man for doing the same job. Those are pretty simple beliefs, right? Now, is it crazy? Maybe. To him, that is. But look, I believe that you should have the same opportunities for advancement at the workplace as a man does. That is equality, right? That is true equality. And to me, that doesn't seem radical. And look, even he admits that, yes, modern women can be anything they want. Okay, look, if you agree with that, great. Let's remove the barriers to that because, look, despite the progress that women have made in the last century and throughout the decades, they're still behind men in some areas. Now, look, there are some areas where men have fallen behind women, areas when it comes to custody and things like that, and we should definitely look into that, right? Because there are women that might be unfit parents that end up getting custody of the kids because, hey, it's the mother. It's the mother. Mother has more rights than the man. I don't agree with that, right? I actually do agree with real gender parity, right? And so, look, there are issues where we need to raise women up to parity, and there are other issues where men need to be raised up to parity. And when it comes to parenting and, that kind of stuff. So, but that's not what he's talking about. He continues. I do want daughters to have their own intelligence, dignity, workspace, and their own degrees. Okay, wonderful. Again, agree with that, right? He says, however, I want them to build home-based enterprises and live in homes shared with good husbands. Oh, but what if they're not interested in doing a home-based business? And look, home-based enterprise, that doesn't necessarily mean business. What does that mean to me? That sounds like he's saying women should stay home and be the homemaker. And that's it. And live in a good home shared with a good husband. But what if you don't want to get married? Well, he has an answer to that. He said, quote, I don't want them to grow up into career-obsessed banshees who forego home life and the happiness of family to become nail-biting, manophobic, hell-bent feminist she-devils who shriek from the tops of 1,000 tall buildings they are and I'm saying this verbatim, they could have leaped over in a single bound had men not suppressing them. It's just nuts. It always was. And there, off the rails we go. Train wreck. It's nuts. It's nuts. It's always nuts. No, you're nuts. Again, crazy. Now, he also adds, after all of that, right? And that is quite the run-on sentence rant. He adds that, I support women's rights. I just don't support the kind that is oppressed natural womanhood. What do you mean? Which kind? What are you talking about? Like, what is natural womanhood to you? Look, I don't even think he knows, right? I think to him, natural womanhood is, hey, like my wife does the dishes, she does my laundry, she folds my underwear, and she makes me dinner at 6 every night. That's natural womanhood. Well, that's not how it works. Turns out, it's, again, traditional gender roles, right? Look, I think in a family, if a woman wants to take a role as a caretaker, that's absolutely fine. If a man wants to take a role as a caretaker, that's also absolutely fine. Now, in my household, we split things 50-50, right? We split the bills, and we split the housework, right? I don't mind folding a pair of underwear. That's my underwear. I'll take care of it. It's my stuff, right? So I don't have a problem with that. Not every household works that way. Other households work differently. I understand that. But the element that's important to me is whether you choose to be in that type of relationship and choose to do that type of delegation. Not because you're forced into it by old, gender roles, right? And that's my whole problem here, right? I think feminism, to me, the kind of feminism I believe in, is the ability of women to make their own choices over their own bodies and their own lifestyles and their own careers, and to have the same kind of opportunities as men. That's what I believe in, right? Greater gender parity, women being treated equally and having the same opportunities. That's feminism to me, right? And you can call it whatever you want. And I understand that there's some, people that disagree with the term. That's fine. Call it whatever you want. But that's what I believe in. And if you don't like that, then I guess you can either find a woman that does agree with you, because they do exist, right? Or failing to learn that, well, learn how to cook your own goddamn dinner. Because you're going to be alone for a very long time. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.